All right, sorry we're late. Thank you for waiting for me. Blame Blender, Jordan Cooper on Twitter. Go give him shit. He's the reason why I'm late. Just recorded a podcast with him, the Theory of DFS podcast here on YouTube. But again, thank you for waiting and welcome. It is Kyrie Reckoning Day apparently in the NBA streets. So what a perfect time to get in a draft. I'm gonna go ahead and I know I'm a few minutes late, so I'm gonna hop into a draft right away. See how many spots are there. 5. Need 5 people. Let me share my screen so we can get cooking. All right. What a day. What a day, huh? There's been obviously tons of changes and everything in this NBA draft market for a while now, though, since the preseason started, right? You guys have been well aware. I see you guys in the chat with, Matt talking about Poole, however you say Sengun's name. Some guys who have been risers. Poole, obviously one of the biggest risers. My guy, Precious Achua, one of the biggest risers. We've all, I feel like, we did a good job of kind of identifying some of the guys, the Spike Week community in the Discord of the guys to be attacking, right? Well, Tyrese Maxey was also one of those who is maybe turning out to be not as quite as fun of a guy to be having drafted. But now we just talked at the end of last week about this Kyrie situation, and it's almost starting to be painful, right? It's painful continuing to talk about about this Kyrie situation, but obviously we have more news today that it means we need to talk about it. I'm very interested to hear kind of what you guys have. I probably haven't had enough time to even totally process what's going on with the latest Kyrie news. Obviously, the potential for him to be out for the entire season is now seems a little bit more real, right, than it did before, and that is an issue. An issue, obviously, for drafting Kyrie. I don't know that I can draft Kyrie. I'm in the process of. I just pumped out the NFL, the latest NFL rankings on Spike Week on the website on spikeweek.com, NFL tab, and you can get those. And I'm going to be polishing up the NBA ones after this, and I'm almost kind of happy that I waited because the Kyrie stuff is definitely going to throw a wrench into things. I just don't know that the payoff for Kyrie is worth it. I was just typing that we need one more, and it fills, of course. I don't know that the payoff for Kyrie as a fantasy asset is going to be worth it to take him even in the 16th round. I could certainly be wrong. This is just my gut instant reaction. I'll be interested to see kind of what you guys are thinking around Kyrie, but as it pertains to him as a pick, I just don't know that I have any confidence in Kyrie Irving. Obviously I'm applying a little bit of my personal takes on him to the situation, but I just don't know that I have the confidence in Kyrie to not kind of be stubborn around this and care about playing this season. Maybe I'm wrong. We will see. But as it relates to like drafts as a whole, kind of the situation I was terrified for early on is Kyrie missing as it pertains to Kevin Durant and James Harden. Those were two guys I was a little bit lower on than market in drafts. And so now we say this. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to take Harden or KD. I think I'm going to take Harden in this one. I have taken a little bit of KD. But perfect segue, me getting my choice of Harden or KD, in that if Kyrie misses the whole season, these two guys are going to go absolutely nuclear. Harden and KD. I mean, I would not be worried about that I would not be. People have said this about Harden a ton of different times, that he's out of shape. And then, I mean, he was out of shape last year, crushed, killed it till he got hurt. I'm not worried about James Harden. James Harden has played, many, many, many minutes of basketball as one of the most productive fantasy assets on the planet. Now surrounded by no one really worth a shit besides Kevin Durant. I think it's a coin toss between, a coin flip between the two of them at the 4th overall spot. Like I said, I have taken a little bit more KD because he's a wing, and I think I still would side to KD because he's a wing. But what we've seen historically with Harden is he's not that interested in resting. KD will rest. And I think there will be spots this year. Harden's not going to play every single game, but there will be more spots this year, in my opinion, based on what we've seen historically, where Kevin Durant rests and Harden will play. This happened last year. Harden will play. Harden wants to play. And I think if we're setting games played bets, Harden has a much higher over under than Kevin Durant does. So I think that there's reasons for that. And then if you get James Harden in games without Kevin Durant, you're getting old school Houston Rockets Harden probably on steroids, because he has even less help in Brooklyn. So we talked about these guys for the first 7 minutes or whatever. But I think they're obviously the big winners here. And I have a little bit of regrets because I was not taking them, at 4th and 5th overall to start the season. And I think that is probably going to hurt me a little bit if this Kyrie thing keeps up. It's my big takeaway. I don't have any strong takes yet on any of the other nets. They're still very, very difficult to kind of figure out who, if anyone, has any real fantasy value. It's going to be guys like Patty Mills, Cam Thomas, Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, and then there are a million different big men that they have. I don't know how you decipher through their big men, right? Wes talks about Claxton. I have Claxton at the back end of rankings just because he's a really productive player, and like maybe the young talent will win out over the course of the season. But they have Blake Griffin, Paul Millsap. They have just too many bodies up front that it makes me pretty uncomfortable. I am going to get me some Bam here. I love what we're seeing out of Miami, and I love what we're seeing out of Bam so far. I want to make sure I get my fair share of him. I had a great conversation with some people in the Discord this morning about just roster construction, especially as it pertains to wings and stuff. And so I'm almost like selfishly kind of setting up fading some early wings, because that was kind of part of some of my point in the Discord earlier today. But the thing about it is, someone might benefit. Someone will very likely benefit, right? I think my favorite for that in terms of fantasy is probably Bruce Brown, just because he's kind of the do-it-all type guy, right? And steals and blocks are good for him, and he's such an active player. He's not really going to like totally light up the scoreboard, but he would be my initial gut take as a season-long, big winner from this situation. But here we go. See, we're gonna set up this zero. Now we got the zero wing team. We got the zero wing team going to trigger all the you have to draft a wing early people. We're setting it up. I do really like Jalen right there, but we're gonna try something. We're gonna try something out here with a little zero wing. And I mean, I love these three players, so I'm not upset about that. But with the Nets, I just, it's like, that someone is likely to do something, but when there's 10 guys to choose from, it's like the probability of you hitting on that player and the payoff, like the probability and the what do you win if you win, what do you win if you're right? There's this balancing act between the two things, and the probability of getting that person right is so low. And then I'm not sure that the upside is high enough to offset, taking them over other guys. Maybe I haven't done a draft obviously since the Kyrie news, and so maybe there's like 16th round guys that make some sense. But as of right now, I think it's just Harden and Durant for me. See, this is working. Everyone is like, how could you not take Jaylen Brown right there? Do you not know that wing is so thin? What are you going to do at your wing position? Love your guards. Little worried about your wings. That is the response as Matt takes another Jaylen Brown share. Let me scroll back. I know I was a little late, so this is funny because this is me right now live on stream scrambling about the Kyrie news. And that made me laugh. Jesus, Matt. Only 3 more drafts to get to 150, huh? That's insane. Let's see here. Matt likes LaMelo. I love LaMelo. These are good. I pulled this up earlier. I love these percentages. I don't see Precious on there though. I don't see Precious. There's the mistake. I hope everybody has hopped aboard the Precious bandwagon before now. I'm going to take my my W early on him. He's the league winner. If you didn't draft Precious Achiuwa, you've lost and donated all of that money. Yeah, right. Yeah, I am worried about my wings. It's it might be a tough scene here. Let's see what wings are even available. Jeez. Can't believe I'm going to be starting such bad wings. It's like my NFL teams that are currently starting Damian Williams and Devontae Booker and all these running backs that suck. Trying to think about the preseason. Yeah, the Precious thing actually, I'm obviously trolling about Precious, but I am excited for Precious. I think he's going to win that starting center job. Boucher is out. He's just been awesome in the preseason. So I think he's going to win that starting center job. He'll obviously split time with Kem Birch to start the year. And then, Boucher will be back. Siakam will be back. So it's not like some just like clear and obvious smash with See, we are triggering the people, fading the wings. We are fading the wings, boys. Are we having fun? But I think the Raptors are a pretty awesome situation for fantasy all around. I think they have a ton of appealing options. Just about everybody that's going to play and be in the rotation. I think the Raptors, even as CJ points out here, Boucher. I think Boucher is a totally fine pick still. I have my fair share of Boucher. Obviously, he's going to be out to start the season, it looks like, which kind of opens the door for someone like Precious, opens the door for when Siakam gets back. I think Boucher is still a totally fine pick because of, like you said, I want to draft guys that are, damn it. I was trying to get OG there. You guys. I was trying to get OG right there. So now I guess we're really going to have to start going with a little bit of zero wing here, huh? This is really unfortunate. I guess unless I'm going to take Karras. What's the latest on Karras's back? You can tell that I'm super prepared. Caris LeVert. I am triggered. Now I am triggered. I tried to trigger Karis still not scrimmaging, it says. Doesn't feel great. We are gonna take my guy Lonzo a couple picks early. See, I don't think so. That's just not how Nick Nurse coaches. Fred is gonna play. OG is gonna play. Siakam will play when he's back. Trent and Dragic will probably kind of, Trent will mix in. Dragic will mix in. Scotty Barnes is the future. He's going to play. And, I mean, you tell me how he's going to keep Precious off the floor. Kem Birch is not keeping Precious off the floor. Maybe Boucher will a little bit. But I think we get too worried about what happens when everyone's healthy and not attacking the zip it, Terrence. I know I should have taken him over Nurk because I know you guys. But I tried to sneak one past, which obviously did not go well, and I'm not very happy at the moment. But I think sometimes we we treat right now, or we treat what we perceive to be a situation in terms of the body, right? Like Orlando has all these bodies, and they do. They have a million bodies. But what happens when just a player elevates, right? Jalen Suggs is the future there. More than Cole Anthony, more than RJ Hampton, definitely more than, Markelle Fultz, more than these guys. It's like, what happens when the best player just elevates himself and earns the minutes? Also, NBA coaches don't really do the Magic, I guess, maybe might, but Nick Nurse is not going to just play everyone 24 minutes. He's going to have a rotation, right? The guys who earn the most minutes are going to get the most minutes. And that is also, okay, what happens when everyone is healthy? Well, what if everyone isn't healthy? Then you have Precious Achiuwa getting 30 minutes a night at center, who's a wing on here. You have Chris Boucher, right, who's wildly productive, who could get, 25 to 30 minutes on nights when, when things break his way. And just taking the productive player. Somebody mentioned Claxton earlier, and that's why I wouldn't be totally out on Nick Claxton either, just because, he's competing with a bunch of old guys. Maybe they are still just dominating the win-loss, and they want to develop Claxton some more, and he starts getting 25 minutes a night just because he's better than LaMarcus Aldridge and Paul Millsap. I'm not saying that that's the situation, but just kind of drafting productive players in murky situations. I would liken it to the Cowboys wide receivers this year in NFL, right? If you were worried about the volume for CeeDee Lamb, that has clearly not, because of the target competition, that has clearly not been an issue, right? Amari got hurt, Gallup got hurt. The issue for him has actually been the passing volume. But, you were worried about that for the San Francisco 49ers. How are we going to support George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel? Well, we're not, but we just bet on good football players being good football players, and just let it shake out how it's going to shake out. And I think that's probably even more important in basketball. It's we can't project an entire season role for much of anyone besides the top couple round guys. So once you get beyond a certain point, just take the good players and the fantasy productive players, right? That's why we've talked about Mo Bamba and stuff in chat. It's do I really think Mo Bamba is an amazing pick? Do I feel comfortable that he's going to get a ton of minutes No, I don't feel all that comfortable about him at all, but I know when he's on the floor, he's going to produce. So you just kind of let it, that's don't take PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker's going to play, right? Jay Crowder's going to play. These guys are going to play, but they're never going to be productive enough versus let's take Mo Bamba and hope he can earn more minutes because I know that he's going to be productive in those minutes. Good Lord. This is awful. This is so awful, guys. I'm upset. I am upset, but got to stick to the bit now. Man, I am triggered about. I'm seriously triggered about the OG thing. It was set up so perfectly. I never should have. I never should have like mentioned him in the chat or in Discord earlier. He was like the thesis for my zero wing thing. I'm like, if you just take OG as your first wing, you can open yourself up to these really fun builds. And then I try to do it on a stream, and you assholes clearly will not let me do it. Dogs growling at you guys. At you guys for taking OG. He's a big OG fan. This I think is definitely possible. Siakam is definitely possible to get traded, which would, I mean, think about what that would do for OG, Barnes, Precious, Boucher, even Fred, Van Fleet, right? That was exactly my thought on Claxton. Clearly the best defender. That is true. And we've seen defensive, but yep. I think that makes sense. I don't mind taking some darts on guys like Claxton. Okay. I think I do finally have to suck it up and take a wing, and we're just going to take Andrew Wiggins, which is not very fun. Actually, I need to look at my rankings really quick because I might even have Scotty Barnes over. I think I am going to take Scotty Barnes. I think Scotty Barnes' upside is actually more than Andrew Wiggins. Is that crazy? I think I remember the days when Scotty Barnes went like at pick like 140 or something. Now I'm taking him in the 7th round, but such is life. I do need some upside. I don't believe you, Wes. I don't believe you at all. But the Raptors, I was trying to slow roll the Raptors hype, but like I think the Raptors all now. Scotty has gotten steamed. Precious has gotten steamed. OG has kind of gotten steamed. People have seen how much profit is available on all of these guys, but I think that they're an awesome like example of a situation we want to go after. Like, I don't know exactly who's going to be like the smashes out of the Raptors, but like with Nick Nurse is going to play his key guys minutes. He's also, at least so far in this preseason, showing the willingness to give a lot of opportunity to the younger guys like Scotty and like Precious. And so you have Van Vliet and OG that are going to do their thing. Then you kind of have a revolving door at the other guard / wing spot. And I think Trent, Dragic, even some of the young guys, Svi looks kind of good. These other guys will get opportunity for Toronto, but they're just like all these guys they're super productive. I mean, crazy productive. And now Lowry's gone, and there's all this opportunity that I can't guarantee which of these guys. Like it could be Kem Birch for all I know. I don't think it's going to be Kem Birch, but I think all of the Raptors have just like so much profit potential on them. And those are situations I think we want to go after. The Spurs are a little bit similar. DeJounte is the guy that I think is probably the real winner. I have a little bit of concerns over Keldon with just how much he's gotten steamed too, but I do still very much like Keldon. But I think the Spurs just have so much like opportunity available for them without DDR that, you know, the market has picked up on them too. But these are just situations that we want to attack. This is really funny. That's hilarious. That I really like Jordan Poole, but 79th overall is something. I don't even have like a necessary. I was taking a lot of Keldon earlier too. Now he's gotten steamed so much because Matt has 147 drafts of 6th round Keldon Johnson or whatever. That I agree. What was the question? There was a question on OKC earlier. And I can't find it. I will say that I think it was just kind of a question on summary around the Thunder this year. And I don't have an awesome take. I mean, Giddey is my favorite pick. The issue for the Thunder, different than some other, like and I think we should like taking uh players on bad teams, especially young players on bad teams. The Thunder are just such kind of a tricky one that not only are they trying to lose, they are like even more so than other bad teams with young players, like benching their good young players even down the stretch. Maybe they won't do that this year. But it is a little bit of a concern, right? That we're going to get to the final 25 games and they want the number 1 overall pick. And Shea's not playing and Giddey's not playing and Dort's not playing. That's what happened. This happened last year, right? That they would rest Shea. They would rest Dort. These young core pieces, like Shea and Dort were like their only young core pieces, I guess, Baisley last year that they would, that were on the roster. God, Kuzma. What a miserable draft this is. This is what happens when you guys snipe OG from me. I have to take Scotty and freaking Kuzma as my starting wings. I agree. I just definitely have more I really like a lot of the bad teams, which maybe that'll end up burning me. But I do have maybe a little bit more concern over the Thunder than some of the other bad teams. Still willing to take some of these guys, especially Josh Giddey has been my favorite pick. I do like Isaiah Roby because he's a wing, I believe, on here. And I know I won't be able to get him now. Yeah, Roby is a wing here. So I do like him quite a bit. But even he's not like I think he probably will start at center. He started at center so far, but they've also mentioned he's like not a lock to start at center. So there's a lot of they might play a lot of dudes. They might rest a lot of dudes. OKC is probably the trickiest situation of like the bad teams. I think like even more so than Orlando, even though Orlando has all these bodies. Yeah. I think we talked about this last time. One of the streams. I like DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish quite a bit, actually. Jeez, Gafford and Giddey. We're about to take old reliable here and old Harry B. Harrison Barnes has way more upside, I feel like, than people give him credit for. Maybe I'm biased because I played him in DFS a ton and he'll put some smash games up there here and there, but at least for the first part of the season, old Harry B should be out there every night playing 36 minutes every night, and there's a little bit of value in that in this type of team. So he's a great example of a guy. This is why we talk about the strategy and stuff like that. Like in this team that I'm putting together here, zero wing. Like I do need some guys like him because I do need a floor of points, right? Early in the season. Is Harry B ever gonna, be a league winner? No, not really. But like he fits this structure. If you took Giannis and Jalen, like don't take freaking Harrison Barnes when you take Giannis and Jalen. You want to, probably just get some upside bets in there because you're just never going to be using Harry B's score. So you want to find guys that like have crazy upside and are probably a lot cheaper than he is because you probably need guards or wings at this point. But I think that type of thing is not something that people utilize enough in NBA best ball yet. People are just kind of picking players, going super balanced, and not thinking through like the archetypes of players and stuff like that. So I have also been low on the Knicks. I think the problem even with this, Matt and everyone, I'll be interested to hear what you have to say, is that the Knicks still have like all these dudes. And so I guess, playing small ball with Randall at the 5 can offset less usage for Randall. So I do like that. But and Randall's a wing, which is very nice. And we know that they're, Tibbs will still play his guys, but like this is so different from last year. Like RJ would get there because they like, especially like before D Rose got there, it was just like they didn't have anybody. no, that like all the usage was Julius Randle, RJ Barrett quickly, right? Like they didn't have anybody. Now they added D Rose, they added Alec Burks last year. Now they add Kemba and Fournier. It's like they're going to take the ball out of the hands of Randle and RJ so much that it's tough to see them paying off their tags, because it's what they did last year is why they're priced where they're at, not necessarily the projection with Kemba and Fournier in there now. And so the Knicks are also a team. I have some Randle. That's about it. They're a really tough team, I think, to hone in on. They're a tough team. I have done a little bit of Drummond because he'll really fall, and like he should. His price was absolutely egregious. His old price, he's really plummeted, and so I've taken a little bit of Drummond. Like it would make sense to me in a team like this, right? I have Bam and I have Nurk, two of my favorite big guys, and early round picks. I don't have much of a need. I'm going to take a third big man, but I don't have much of a need for like a guy consistently scoring most of the year. But Drummond in the situation that, just in games, maybe, I don't know, maybe Embiid plays less. Maybe they blow somebody out and Drummond gets 25 minutes. He could put up 40 plus. Like he has those crazy upside games in him, even in limited minutes. I mean, we saw it in the preseason already multiple times. But if something happens to Embiid, like you said, you get an elite fantasy option late. And so I like him on teams where you don't need, you're not, in need of any of his instant production. Or like if you went like a zero big and you took 4 or 5 of them, like upside, you take him. I'm never going to get Sengun's name right. But you take him, you take, maybe you take Olynyk, you take Boucher, Bamba, you take those kinds of combinations of guys and just hope that it all kind of comes together because you know that they're all productive and cheap and have a lot of upside. But again, it's just this conversation around that's funny. It's just this conversation around the, kind of archetypes. Also, I read this wrong the first time. Don't take Drummond on the Embiid teams. Take Drummond on non-Embiid teams. Because if Embiid goes down, right? Think about it. If Embiid goes down, like if Embiid barely misses, all right, hold on, let me do. Goodness gracious, guys. This is so bad. If Embiid goes down for just a little short period of time, Drummond isn't going to pay you off enough to really want him on your team. You just want Embiid, and you would want a different center. If Embiid goes down for an extended period of time to where Drummond is like super valuable, well, then you just wouldn't want Embiid. You would want a different first-round pick, right? So I would not take him on your Embiid teams, personally. Yeah, I think you can still take it. I would still be making sure I take at least 2 of every position. Definitely, obviously, 2 of wings and guards. Just because there are going to be games. There are going to be weeks where like the Nuggets only play twice or something. And while it is nice to, be able to just bank that Jokic score, I think I would still want to have, an alternative plan, because even like a Kelly Olynyk, like let's say Kelly Olynyk has 3 or 4 games in a week on a week that Jokic only has 2. Jokic, maybe let's say Jokic scores 80 points that week, but Olynyk has 4 games. You're going to gain a lot of points, and you have a potential flex play. That's the bigger part about the big men specifically. I really like either Wing is the spot I really like to limit the quantity of picks I'll make at the wing position, typically because like that position is really bad raw scoring wise later in the draft. Like you're just not going to get raw points from. I mean, look at these guys: Kelly Oubre, Lauri Markkanen, Joe Ingles, Larry Nance, Kevin Herter. Those guys are never going to be in play for your flex. The big men, however, because we know how many raw points centers score in fantasy, right? Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba, I mean, Plumlee, if he's the starting center for Charlotte, not necessarily Bagley, but I mean, if Bagley were to ever like be, a full 30-minute a game player, he would be productive. Sengun, we know what kind of insane production he puts together, right? These big men are just crazy productive fantasy assets as compared to wing or whatever. And so which means even though you have Jokic, you still have a flex spot. And a lot of the times later in the draft, the bigs are better flex options than your other positions. And you are still trying to, accumulate as many points for that flex spot. So I wouldn't ignore it altogether, basically, is what I'm saying. Damn it. I have not adjusted to this new Precious ADP. It's a good thing I took him in like every draft to start the year because I have not been getting him because I am not used to having to take him in the 11th round. That is crazy. I remember the days of 16th round of all the guys that I liked. This is not as much fun. I won't lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. My first 30 teams were far better than what I'm going to have to do for these remaining 100 or whatever. I will say the site that shall not be named, since we're drafting on UD, the other site is still a little bit better for whatever it's worth. Did a draft yesterday and still pretty soft. It is crazy though, the differences between the sites and like, especially just the player like classifications. That's the biggest thing. ADP is definitely, pretty different for both sites, but it's also largely due to center / big on Underdog. Center on DraftKings is like insanely thin. Absolutely crazy thin. There's like no good cheap options. Versus here, I like Olynyk, I like Sengun, I like Wendell Carter, I like Bamba, I like those guys. They are not available late here, and then you have some guys that are bigs here that are not bigs. It's a pretty fascinating. I can't wait to take a bunch of these just god awful wing picks here. This is painful. Yeah, oh boy. And there goes Nance. Sweet, cool. I can't believe I just sat there talking about how I can't take any ancillary Nets guys, but I think I have to. I have to try something here. I think Harris has more upside than these guys. P. Will, I guess. Roby, Reddish, but I can get some of those guys on the wrap here. This is awful. I don't mind Steven Adams. He's not going to do a lot like scoring wise and stuff, but he's definitely a guy in my rankings I'm bumping up quite a bit today just because of I kind of thought they would play, and I still think they're going to play a lot more small ball, a lot more Jaren Jackson at the 5. But I think Steven Adams is going to be pretty much of a beast on the boards, and then just playing in like the pick and roll and stuff with Ja is fantasy gold. So I do think Adams makes sense as kind of a value pick. Not sexy, but I think like on a per minute basis, he's going to be he's going to be pretty productive. They just don't have anyone that rebounds when he's out there. Jaren Jackson does not rebound. Ja's not really interested in rebounding. And then it's like Melton, Bain, they don't really rebound. Dylan Brooks kind of rebounds. Like they just don't, like he's just going to get all the defensive rebounds because nobody else gives a shit about about going to get him. Oh my gosh. I got to take Roby now. Yeah, lots of rebounds. Lots of rebounds. I mean, I do think they're gonna play more of this, but they haven't done a ton in the. Well, I guess it depends on what you want to call. Like they have done some Brandon Clark. They did last night actually. Brandon Clark, JJJ lineups. I don't know who you would call the center on that team. It's you would when I envision like the dream. Jaren Jackson at the 5 is like he's like the only big man. Now we're going real small around him. Brandon Clark is just basically the de facto center on that lineup. So we haven't seen a ton of it yet with Jaren as like a small ball 5, but I do think it's in the cards. Yeah, Slow-mo playing off the bench. He's a legit good rebounder. So like you said, there's just nobody left to get rebounds, which is also good for Jaren. It's also good for Ja, right? There's just more rebound opportunities available. You know, Joval not being there. I mean, Steven Adams is going to get a ton of boards, but like he's not Joval. Joval's like the most insane permanent rebounder ever, him and Drummond. So like it's still a net positive for like Ja and Jaren. But I do think Steven Adams is a fair kind of like value pick. This team sucks. This team really sucks. I'm not very happy with you guys. Not even get Harden, get Morant. I love Bam. I love Nurk. I'm really excited, side note, for Lonzo. I'm super excited for Lonzo. The Bulls look really fun. They're also not going to play a lot of defense, I don't think. They look fast. Lonzo looks like he's going to, be definitely be this quarterback. It's not like a tradition, he's not a Chris Paul type point guard, but just kind of like the engine that makes things go for a pretty fun offense in Chicago. So I've gotten pretty back on board with Lonzo. The wings are bad though, guys. Little worried about your wings. I mean, if you assholes would just have let me got OG, this team would be just straight sexy. I would love this team. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. He definitely is. It's kind of awkward because historically, DeMar has been almost like, he's been people get too worried about like positions, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, whatever. DeMar has been kind of like a lead guard, if you will, just a lead ball handler. Like even with DeJounte, DeMar was, the usage leader on that team. He would even walk the ball up the floor and stuff like that sometimes, right? Levine had to do a lot of on the ball stuff last year because, it was him and like Kobe White. They didn't have a facilitator. They had just straight scorers on the wings and stuff. A lot of times the offense would run through Vooch in Orlando, right? He was like, obviously not the point guard, but sometimes he plays a little, like a very, very, very small fraction of like what Jokic does, right? Run some of the offense through him. He would facilitate and stuff. But now you put Lonzo into that role and let these other guys kind of do maybe even more of what they're best at, which is basically just score. And so I think it's pretty wheels up to Lonzo. And people hate. I'm biased. I've been a Lonzo stan, not like I don't care about him as a person, but on the basketball floor, like I love Lonzo's game. And people have held his shooting form over his head for so long. And he's like a legitimately good 3-point shooter in the NBA, like legit good. But people will forever hold it over his head, the shooting thing, which is so weird because like other guys who shoot worse percentages, but maybe have prettier looking jumpers or don't have the kind of drama that has come with Lonzo Ball, that people don't hold it over their heads. And so I think he gets devalued because of that, probably in fantasy too, because he's kind of a different. That is true. That is true. You all get included. Yeah, I don't think I've drafted DeMar yet. You saw in this draft, I think Nurkic over DeMar, just because he's the one guy. I think he's going to be fine, and he has been kind of fine in there in the preseason for them and stuff. Gotta take me some Chuma. I know he's hurt, but that's okay. I think DeMar will be fine. Like Matt said, DeMar seems to have kind of taken to the new offense, the pace. He is doing some passing and seeding things to Vooch and Levine, letting Lonzo do his thing. But I think the efficiency in which he scores should probably be pretty good, given that like the other team's best defender is probably going to guard Levine. Lonzo's helping set him up. They got floor spacing. I think DeMar is going to be fine. The price on him in best ball, just given the fact that I think he's probably third on the team in usage behind Levine and Vooch. We know that Vooch is going to, DeMar used to like rack up assists and rebounds and stuff in San Antonio. And some of those should get siphoned away with Lonzo, Vooch. And so it's tough. He's not going to have the ball handling. We saw Caruso have 10 assists in the first preseason game. So it's just hard. I think I'm excited for DDR maybe more than I was before, just because the Bulls look like an offense I think we want to be invested in, but he's the toughest one to invest in for me, I think. Let me see here. We are about to take wing number 7, which is just awful. Let me add Otto to the queue. I think I'm going to actually take KJ Martin here. I think KJ, he looks pretty good in the preseason. He just needs to find a way to earn minutes. I have no idea how that's going to happen, given all the guys that they have. He's definitely the backup 3/4, but he's a really productive player and kind of exciting young player. So just hoping that on a team like this, I'm just hoping something happens that breaks his way, right? Somehow get him into the starting lineup, whether it's an injury or shutting guys down or whatever. Yeah, I could have taken OG, but one thing I will say about that is I'm willing. So this is one team out of my, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to 150 in the next week, but this is one team out of my 150. And a thing that I was really big on for NFL is always trying to like push the limits of how much value I can get on my players. And so in my, Nurkic has a higher ADP than OG. Nurkic goes higher. I wanted both of them. What I wanted was that turn, my dream turn was to get Nurk and OG. The only way for that to happen, in my opinion, was to take Nurkic, and then, there's only 6 picks in between my picks. You hope that OG falls back to you. Obviously, that did not happen. You guys know me well enough. I was not able to execute that, but I'm okay because I want to get the best combination of the players at the best value as I can over the course of my entire draft. So I don't want to be reaching too much. Once we get past, round 10 or something like that, I don't really care that much about reaching a little bit, but I do try to factor in that kind of value aspect, and I'm willing to lose out on OG in order to try to get like the best team as I can, if that makes sense. That's pretty funny. You are, Wes. Welcome. Never come back. Not if you're going to take OG from me. Remember that. I'm kidding. But obviously you guys saw what I was trying to do here with this OG team. So here's where it does get a little bit interesting. Obviously I have 7 wings and my wings are absolutely horrid. Scotty Barnes, Kyle Kuzma, Harrison Barnes, Joe Harris, Isaiah Roby, Chuma Okeke, and KJ Martin. I think you can take another wing here. If you want to do like a 5-8-3 team, I think you can take another wing here. Like my wings are horrible, right? My first wing is Scotty Barnes. I need the shots on goal. Like I know based on this team that I've drafted, I mean, Harden and Ja are my guards every week, right? In theory, Bam and Nurk are my big and my flex. I'm drawing, a little bit thin to the depth at those positions, but I also have premium picks in Lonzo and Suggs there to fill in the cracks, right? At flex and at guard, and KO to fill in some cracks at big and at flex. And so some people will be like, oh, I got to balance this thing out. Like, no, what you need is wings. Your wings are horrible. And so this is where I would be a little bit different probably than the field. And I'm taking an 8th wing. There goes Otto. Let's start adding some guys to the... I don't hate McDermott starting for the Spurs. What's the deal? I haven't double checked back in on Zach Collins yet. I wonder if Nora's going to get real playing time. Zach Collins. I am actually going to take Jordan Nora. I think somebody mentioned earlier, the draft's almost over and I'll wrap it up. But somebody mentioned earlier, like, oh no, this was in the Discord. Sorry. Somebody mentioned, all the guys that we all in the Spike Week community have been drafting in the late rounds have gotten steamed out of this world, right? They're like wildly, we just saw Precious was my favorite 18th round pick, 16th round pick, excuse me. And he goes in the 11th round now, right? Maxey, Poole, etc. Scotty Barnes, blah, blah, blah. All these guys that went late are no longer going late. Guys like Jordan Nwora are interesting to me because, he's not going to be like a total smash given what Milwaukee has, right? He's not going to start. He's not going to see a ton of minutes. But I think we would be surprised in how many more usable weeks, if you will, someone like Jordan Nwora might be able to get us now, given the type of guys we're looking to at the end of drafts, where I think he's just earned a backup role on this team. So I think he's going to play first. I think the Bucks are really good, so there's blowout minutes available, right? Garbage time available, and he's a really high usage and productive player. And so he's a guy that I've gotten more interested in, especially as we didn't know exactly kind of how the reserve roles were going to shake out in Milwaukee. I feel pretty confident that Nwora has earned one of those backup spots, which makes him a pretty appealing late round pick now, because it's not just, before, if he wasn't in the rotation, it was like kind of useless. But he, if he's going to be in the rotation, there's potential for, the random spike games on 25 minutes, in a blowout. But then there's also the games, he's going to be the man when Giannis and Middleton and Drew sit. So that offers real spike week potential for him. So somebody in Discord was asking about late round guys. So he's I like Bones too. Bones is a similar type of player. He's going to be in the rotation. I don't know how much. I don't know how productive he's going to be, on a typical nightly basis where he plays 15 minutes, but he has a real, upside in the games where he gets extended run or other guys are resting. I also think this is true. I think the Bucks are going to rest more this year. The championship run, short off season, a lot of miles on the body of Drew Holiday and Giannis and Middleton. Giannis is already a little bit dinged up. I mean, he played and he seems to be totally fine, right? But we came in with a little nick on Giannis's knee or whatever it was, and he wasn't fully recovered and blah, blah, blah. So I agree with you. So Nora's a priority 16th round pick for me right now. Yeah, sorry. I don't know anything about NHL. You got to get to the NHL sharps in Discord and talk to them about it. Because yes, sir, this is NBA. All right, guys, this was a lot of fun. I hate you for stealing OG. I literally made OG the featured image on the thumbnail for the show to try to get him, to try to prove my point about my zero wing team that I was debating with people in Discord today. And you guys wouldn't let me have him. So we're not on good terms right now. We'll be back on Thursday doing another draft. We'll see if we can become friends again. But until then, for me, for my dogs, for Wes, thank you for joining. Obviously, Terrence, welcome back. CJ, thank you. Matt, you're a sicko. Almost to your 150. Thank you, guys. See you in the Discord. See you on Thursday. I'll talk to you later. Holler.